Hi, I'm Robin, and this is my first attempt at doing a video blog, a vlog, whatever they call them. I've got a number of stories I would like to tell you. Sometimes they may be accompanied by song, by guitar, sometimes just memories of things that have happened to me, mainly over the last 10 or 12 years. I wanted to begin with what happened on Sunday, just gone. I took part in a conference call, a Skype call, and taking part in that call, apart from myself, was two people in St. Petersburg, one person in Tomsk, one person in Krasnoyarsk, and one person in Quebec. The person in Quebec was very special, a lady called Luce Dufault, and some of you may know of her, some of you may not. But she has had an amazing impact on my life over the last 10 years. And I wanted to try and explain to you how I first came into touch with her. I was working at home. It must have been about 2002 or 2003. And at the time, whilst I was working on my computer, I used to listen to internet radio. And I'd searched on one particular day for internet radio based on the music of Celine Dion, particularly the French songs, because I liked them very much. And whilst I was listening, I was the various songs coming through. There was Natasha St. Pierre, Lara Fabian, all sorts of people that I didn't really know, and they were pleasant. But then a song started, and I was taken immediately by the voice. It was a kind of unique voice. The melody, the song, everything, it really appealed to me. And I looked at the top of the screen and looked to see who the artist was who was singing the song, and it was a lady called Luce Dufault. A few songs later, another song came up by her, and I determined to try and find out some more about it. So I ended up actually buying 2 albums from Amazon Canada, which arrived, which were listened to dozens of times and transferred onto my, an Arcos jukebox MP3 player. And just as a matter of interest, I'm going to let you hear what that first song sounds like. I'm hoping that the sound quality of this isn't too bad. This voice.
Je suis une forteresse oubliée dans un désert il y a des millions d'années, comme un endroit où il fait toujours froid.
You won't believe what impact listening to this song had on my life. I guess 2 or 3 years later, it was 4 years later, I was diagnosed with cancer, and I had to go into hospital for surgery. And I took Luce with me on my MP3 player, and every evening when visitors had gone home and all there was in the ward was the clatter and banging of things and nurses going backwards and forwards, I used to listen to this music over and over again, this album. And when I got home and was recuperating, the same thing. Every night I couldn't lie on anything but my back, and I used to lie there listening to Luce.
Et ce soir, je suis toute
So it meant to me a lot then. Then
je tremble.
in 2004,
Je suis
I was
cerisier.
sorry, I beg your pardon, it was 2 years later than that. Yeah, towards the end of 2007 in fact. My wife had also been diagnosed with cancer at the same time as I had, and we both had surgery. I was the lucky one. She had chemotherapy and radiotherapy and more chemotherapy, and very sadly towards the end of 2007 the cancer returned, and in December of that year she died. By strange coincidence, I'm going to pause this now. By strange coincidence, just before that, I'd been lucky enough to find that Luce Dufault was on MySpace, and so I befriended her on MySpace. And another friend now, who wasn't then, a lady in Montreal contacted me and asked why on earth this Englishman had befriended Luce Dufault, who was from Quebec. And I told her the story. I told her about listening to music. I told her about music in the hospital and all these things. And she asked me to write it all down in a letter. And because she was going to a concert to be given by Luce that weekend. And so I did. I sent it off. And it was a really strange coincidence that my wife died here at home, and the next morning I had my laptop out and I was sending messages off to her friends in Australia and all over the place, and I noticed that I had a message on MySpace. I looked at it and it was from Luce, and she told me that she received my letter and she was very touched by it and to keep in touch. I replied and told her what had just happened, and she wrote back almost immediately saying that expressing her sympathy and intimating that she would actually sing a song for my wife and I at her next concert. That's how it all began. And I'd like to tell you more about that if you're interested. If you are, please come back and join me again.